My name is Tuttlewyn Penry. I'm a solitary pagan witch. I'm an author. I'm the founder of the Wolf and Howl Press, and this little chat is about divination. And that little bark is Homer. Sorry about this. He's woken up and he wants to join in with things. He's very, very elderly. I mean, in dog terms, if he was a human, he would be about 100 now. He's really getting on. So anyway, this is about divination. It's only a little chat. It's really to warn people about the risks of divination. Now, I'm not saying this, oh, don't dabble. It's not that at all. But what I am saying is, look, please bear in mind that if you don't want to know the answer, don't ask the question. That's a start. And that's really important. So many people ask questions and then they don't like the answer. I remember doing a room reading for somebody once, many years ago. And he'd come bouncing in with his girlfriend. And they weren't young by any means. But they'd come bouncing in, him in particular. And he wanted to know about the future and that. Oh, I didn't see them together, not in the rooms anyway. That's all I could say. I didn't see it, that's what he wanted to know. She didn't, obviously, but he wanted to. And he was quite, oh, right, And just before they left, she popped back in and she said, oh, thank you, by the way, thank you. So obviously she wanted me to give the sort of answer I gave. Was I right? I don't know. I don't know whether I gave the right answer, but I do know that sometimes when you read runes or tarot or crystal ball for somebody, you really do have to be careful, because sometimes you can end up telling people what they want to hear, and that's not really divination at all. It's sometimes you accidentally pick up on something and you think, oh, good grief, I don't know why, but that is something that happens. So if you don't want to know the answer, if the answer might be something you don't want to hear, then don't ask. It's much better not to. I mean, let's face it, most of us get through life not knowing what the next day holds. I don't even know what I'm going to have for tea tonight, It doesn't matter. We don't have to know. Knowing does not necessarily make us better people. There are many people who know what they should do and don't do it. So, you've got to be careful about this. And the other one, I think, when you read, is that sometimes you see something and it's really better left unsaid. And I'll give you an example of this. My father, I know I've probably told this before, I'm probably on this channel, but I'll tell you again anyway. When my father was a young man, he went to some sort of fair. And he went with his friend, and they both went to see a fortune teller. And the fortune teller told the friend that he would die an uncanny death. And he told my father that he would have an accident that disfigured his face. And the years went by, because they were only boys really then. The years went by. The friend threw himself off Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol and killed himself. And my father lost an eye in a really odd domestic explosion. Somebody threw a gun cartridge onto the fire and it exploded and hit him in his left eye. And he had to wear a glass eye for the rest of his life. Now, I've often thought, if I was in that position and I saw something like that in the future, would I tell them? Would I tell them that way? I mean, basically it was, this is going to happen. There you go, cross my palm with silver and bugger off. Well, no, I don't agree with that. I think it might have been better to have said, you're going to have to be very careful, perhaps. You may be involved in accidents or something, and, you have to take extra care, be very careful. And, with my father, it could have been, well, you need to shield your face sometimes. Be careful, there are accidents. And that's the sort of thing I see, because I don't believe divination is written in stone. I think what it tells us is what's out there and what might happen. Now, in the case of my father and his friend, it did happen. But did it happen because what she said preyed on their minds? Well, with my father, no, it didn't. It was an accident. It was a stupid 1 in a million accident. With his friend, well, who knows? He might have had depression. He might have had worries, anxiety. Could have been all sorts of stuff. But I think sometimes we have to be much more responsible, both as diviners, people doing the divination, and also as querents, who are the people who are asking the questions. I mean, I've known people who have asked me the same question over and over and over, even in a single reading. And, you know, the runes or the tarot, they'll get quite ratty come the end, and they'll start throwing up the same cards all the time, or the same runes. Like to say, oh, look, I've told you, listen. Because that often is a problem, where you get people who just, oh, just one more reading, just one more thing I want to know. I don't know what they want to know. I don't know what answers they want. I know they want to keep going until they get the answer they like the sound of, but actually that's not the best way to do it. It's better to look at something and say, oh, that's going to be the influence in my life today, this week, this term, this year. That's going to be the influence. Right, okay. Well, I'll look into it and I'll discover more about it, and I'll try and make something. I'll try and bring it into my life in a way that is positive. You know, so I think there is a lot more to it than we realise. And since I'm doing a little series on the Anglo-Saxon runes, I thought it might be nice to explain this. But I'm not going to rabbit on anymore. You've had 6 minutes of me, and that's more than enough. So thank you ever so much for listening. Goodbye.